so today we have on Democratic candidate for the representative seat of South Carolina's 5th District, Alexis Frank, after a vacancy by incumbent Republican Mick Mulvaney, who's been appointed by President Trump. But before we get into anything else, the primary is on May 2nd, so everyone needs to get out and vote, and most importantly, go to her website, www.frankforcongress.com. You can volunteer, phone bank, and contribute to her campaign. So Alexis Frank is a 6-year veteran, a current paralegal, a wife, a mother of 2, and an online student of Southern New Hampshire University. So first off, just kind of an intro. I'd like it if you could introduce yourself and tell everyone about your background and why you decided to run for a congressional seat.
So I think you got a lot of my my background. I did study at Southern New Hampshire University. I graduated from Rock Hill High here in Rock Hill, South Carolina. I joined the Army when I was 17, and I was a paralegal in the Army. I met my husband while I was in, and we've got 2 kids, Avery and Eliza. Eliza's 8 months old, and Avery's 3. And the reason why I decided to run was because a lot of people felt a certain way when Donald Trump was elected, and I felt hurt, and I felt sad, and I cried. And I thought to myself, how did we allow someone who ran on such hatred and fear to become the leader of the free world? And so I thought that it was something that I had to do something about. So I marched in the Women's March on Washington in January with my daughter, and we came back with this empowered feeling that we wanted to do more. And so when Mick Mulvaney vacated his seat, I had thought about running, and then I saw a video online that was really trying to encourage women to run. And so I was like, you know what? Why not me? I can do this.
Alrighty. So jumping into the policy positions, from what I've read, one of your main promises is to improve the education system. Do you have any other details you'd like to add to that?
So yesterday we unveiled our plan to make college education more affordable. And it can be somewhat likened to what Governor Cuomo has offered for the students of New York City, except our stipulations will be a lot different for South Carolinians. We don't want to offer a completely free plan for students. You would also, have to fall between a certain, what's the word I'm looking for? Your parents would have to make a certain amount of money. You'd have to be a certain type of student, but you would get access to a number of programs and plans and where you can use them. And so we really delved into details about how we can make college more affordable for our students, because we shouldn't ask them to take on a lifetime of loans to be able to get an education and not even still have the promise of getting a higher paying job that they were thinking that they would get when they took on these loans to begin with. And we also want to really delve into the core of why some of our students aren't getting the same good quality education as some of our other students are. We have a lot of families that flock to certain school districts here in this state and leave others out of it because they're just not as good. And we want to make sure that all those kids that don't have that option to flock to a certain school district, they're getting the same great quality education as possible. We want to make sure that the Department of Education stays intact, that Betsy DeVos does not run her rampant plan to take money out of public schools and use it for voucher programs to funnel into charter schools. It's unacceptable, and it especially wouldn't work in our district with a predominantly rural area.
Okay, so another policy position I read up on was you support a living wage. Why do you think that we should have a living wage, and how do you think we should set that up?
So I think that the federal government should raise the minimum wage, but I feel that whether the states choose to raise the wage above that at that point is up to them. I think the state economy depends differently. I don't think that I think that there should be a federal minimum wage and it should be raised, but where it goes after that really depends on the state. I don't think here in South Carolina we should have the same living wage as those in San Francisco, California. The economies just don't match to be able to cover that. We also want to protect our small businesses from going under when we implement a program like this, to make sure that they can cover those costs in the beginning, because we don't want to bankrupt our small businesses or have them lay off any people because they can't afford for them to do that right now. But it's also inappropriate that we have people working 2 to 3 jobs and still barely making ends meet. That's inappropriate. But I think they all go hand in hand with making sure that everyone can have access to a quality education, because we find that most people who work minimum wage jobs are the ones who aren't educated and can't afford an education, are still turned off by the cost of education. So if we fix all of these things, we can find that more people will have access to better paying jobs. But no one should be living below, there shouldn't even be a poverty line. There's plenty of access to things that we can do to help each other out so that we can all be on an equal scale here. We just have to put the work in.
Okay, so I've also read that you support a Medicare for All system. What motivates you to bring a Medicare for All system?
So I currently like to say that I think that Obamacare, it wasn't a perfect plan. It definitely has some flaws, and the biggest flaw being that it was going to end up costing people a lot more money. I do believe that we should reach towards a single-payer system. However, I know that we cannot implement that overnight. It's going to take time. Obamacare was supposed to be the happy middle in between that, and we've seen the backlash that we've received over that. The Republican Party will continue to try to dismantle it as much as they can. So we have to ease our way into it. But healthcare is not a privilege. It is a right that we have. We're humans. We get sick. We shouldn't have to take out loans or feel like we've gone bankrupt just to go see the doctor every month. And people like my mother, who spent the majority of her paycheck on dental and healthcare and things like that, and her premiums are still so high. And she has the plan that didn't even have anything to do with Obamacare. I mean, healthcare in this country is completely out of this world. And the Republican Party seems to think that as long as we let the free market rule, that it'll be fine. And I'm like, the free market is bankrupting the American citizens because we don't put more stringent restrictions on them or eliminate them altogether and just move to a single payer system. But many people believe that that is how socialism starts, and we've been taught to think that socialism is a dirty word when it's really just us trying to make sure that people can get sick. And I've had the luxury of having military insurance, and I delivered my most recent child on a military installation, and to not have a bill when I left, I received excellent care. There's nothing wrong with having government funded healthcare as long as we do it right and we have the right people involved. But there's a lot of apprehension, so we have to ease into it. We can't just flip into it overnight.
Also, on that topic of being a veteran, I'm curious if you think that you kind of have any advantage, because when you think of veteran, most people would think of like a Republican or something of that nature. So I was wondering if you think that gives you a somewhat advantage by you being a veteran, and how that kind of affects you as a Democrat.
I've heard that people tell me that being the veteran will actually help me I can't even think of the phrase that I'm trying to use right now, but it helps level me out, because I've had to work so hard for what it is that I have. And a lot of people, I'm not sure where they think that Democrats don't care about veterans. As a veteran and as someone who supports someone who's active duty, it's at the forefront of my mind. We need to make sure that they are treated with the utmost of respect, and that they deserve the proper care that that they need when they get done serving their country, because we've asked so much of them. I think that it's advantageous to me. It's also been a disadvantage. People have made up stories about me about how I never finished a tour of duty, and I was like, oh, that's kind of called going AWOL, and I'm not sure I'd put my address down and let people come and find me if I had done that. But people really love people in the military, and they thank me for my service, although for me it was a pleasure to do it. But I think, especially in a district like this where we're going to have to reach to conservative voters, being a veteran, I think, is an advantage for me.
Okay, so it seems that your platform is quite a bit similar to someone like Bernie Sanders. I was wondering who you consider to be an influence in the current political realm that we have right now.
Well, there's a few people I would love to emulate. A combination of, I'm loving what Joe Kennedy III is really doing right now. he is reaching out, especially being in the millennial generation. He's reaching out and really talking about issues that are important to us, and really making sure that every group that feels that they've been discriminated against was really feeling loved and cherished, and known that we are doing everything that we can to help push them forward onto an equal platform. Maxine Waters, she holds back at nothing. She is as blunt and as frank as they come, and I would want to emulate that. And Elizabeth Warren, she truly cares for the people. And you know, there's certain people that you cannot deny, whether or not you agree with their politics or not, that they are there for the people and that they truly care, and they're out there on the ground doing that work for them. And we need people like that, that truly care, that are going to ask the hard questions, that are going to give the other side a hard time when they just won't work with us. And a combination of those three people really makes me feel like I can do that. I'd love to meet Maxine. She's snatching wigs up there.
Okay, so your Democratic opponent, from what I've read, is Archie Parnell, if that's correct.
There's two of them. Les Murphy is the other.
Okay, so he's another Democratic opponent?
He is.
Okay, so I was unaware of that one.
I would beg to say that you're not completely misinformed, as though I think the race is truly between me and Archie.
Okay. So what I've read is that he's a Goldman Sachs advisor, and he's 66 years old. I was just curious if you feel that there's a need right now for people who aren't, you know, Goldman Sachs advisors, and more everyday people and younger people and things of that nature.
I absolutely believe that we need more younger people in office. I have nothing negative to say about Archie as a personality standpoint. He is a genuine man who tried to do the best work that he could when he worked for those businesses. However, my concern is that we talked about, you know, people were very upset that, oh, well, Hillary has ties to Wall Street and this and that. And we're talking about trying to flip a very red district here. So why would you offer the very thing that you're upset about? Right. It just didn't make any sense to me. And these were the same people who also claimed to have been Bernie-crats. And I'm like, you're offering a candidate that goes against everything that you believe in, or you're offering a candidate that holds the same credentials as the people that you complained about. So it confused me just from a credential standpoint, but I have nothing negative to say about him as a person. He is very intelligent. I tell people I hope to have his tax reform expertise on my staff. He would be vital in moving the country forward as a staff member in Alexis Frank's office. But I just believe that I'm the better person to be able to get the job done. When it comes to having that, you have to have a certain personality to do this job. You have to have a certain way about yourself. You have to be able to speak to people to get things done. And I'm the only one that can do that with a genuine concern, without turning people off, or without feeling like you can walk all over me at the same time.
I hear you. All right, well, everyone, the primary is on May 2nd. Everyone needs to get out and vote, and most importantly, go to our website, www.frankforcongress.com. You can volunteer, phone bank, and contribute to your campaign. Alexis, is there anything else you'd like to say before the end of the interview?
It's just really important, once again, that we vote, and especially as young people. It's more important now that we are no longer just Facebook warriors, Twitter warriors, Instagram, Snapchat warriors. All of that means nothing if we don't actually get out from behind our screens and do something about it. We've got to pound the pavement, knock those doors, make those phone calls, get out involved in our communities, and let people know that we're serious about the changes that we say. You know, sometimes as millennials, we get a really bad rap. People say that we're lazy, and we're not, and we have to continue to thrive and prove that we can do all of these things that they say that we can't, and our time is now. Don't let people tell you that you're the future. You say the future is now, and with the right strategy, we can win this, and we can turn these things around. But it's so important, especially as citizens, use your duty to vote. not just your right, but it is your duty to vote. Too many people have fought and died for us not to be able to. So get out, and that is the very first step that you can take to be a productive member of this society and really put forward those candidates and get those people into office that we really need.
Thank you so much. Make sure you guys go check out our website. Thank you very much.